I went and searched for a catalytic converter for this. It's $2,000. So I think the Kia might be done. Welcome back to another episode of Broke From Here, guys. If you've been here, then you know that we've been working on the Kia and I've been trying to find the solution to P0014. I've done almost everything that could be possibly done. And finally, I hired one of these fix-it guys on the internet. I think it was like 35 bucks to ask him questions, and he kind of goes through it with you. And his answer was the bearing. And I kind of thought it was kind of a BS answer, but I figured it was worth a shot. I didn't even think the bearing existed and found out it did exist. Humbled me quite a bit that I was wrong. Today is actually Sunday, so probably right at this time you guys are enjoying last week's video. But as I was going to order the bearing, and basically there's an upper and a lower, but the lower looked like my upper to what I had already pulled out. So if you're confused right now, this was the upper that I pulled out. It has two little holes, you can see right there. Then when I saw that that was supposed to be my lower bearing, kind of activated my thought originally where, did these dummies just switch them? When they're a universal bearing, sometimes they'll be notched the same, so you can just flip them and it doesn't matter whichever way they get in, they get in. But this is a directional bearing, and they didn't make them directional, they made it a universal notch. What I mean by that notch is right here, you can see that little tiny lip. That lets you know you're in the correct spot and that it's locked in. Now, if this was a directional, maybe they put it on the opposite side so that only this can go in one spot and the other one can only go in the other spot. Once I saw that when I was ordering, I decided to come out here and try to knock out the lower half of the bearing and see if that was the top half. And this was the top half. What's crazier is if you look, these are two burnt holes of oil that have been trying to get through to the top half. What's even crazier, if you line them up next to each other, it's a dead-on mark. What this means is all I have to do is put this on the bottom, and I'm betting this one will fit right into here, no problem, and we'll do it right now. Boom, it's in. Top half complete. I'm gonna tighten it down on a later clip. So anyway, I think I will just clip in the next part, probably right here. It is a couple days later, and I want to get cracking away on this thing. So I'm gonna get started right now. Basically, all I have to do is change the bearings around and then tighten this thing down into spec, and then take this thing for a test drive. So I'm gonna get started. See you guys in a bit.
Just another sunny day in Southern California. It's where the people came to play. Don't let them transform you. Oh, come and see what you've been missing on a little slice of heaven. It's the only place we're living. It's that West Coast point of view. Easy when it's always summertime fun for you and I. Every attitude. Who cares what the people think? It's been turning kinda gray in Southern California.
Everything is put back together. I'm feeling really excited. I'm trying not to get overly excited. I don't think it's working, but I'm pretty sure this is going to fix everything. Fingers crossed, but I'm almost positive this will eliminate the issue. I do have another code that I never talked to you guys about. It's P0420, and it's for the catalytic converter. I thought the catalytic converter was popping off because the timing was off. It's usually how that works. If you can fix the timing, that'll go away. So I don't want to get too excited. That still might be there, but I'm not getting too nervous about it right now. The main thing is if P0014 goes, everything should be a cakewalk. I shouldn't even say that. Everything might get easier afterwards. We'll see. But right now what I want to do is back the car out, take it for a test drive after I clear the codes and see if anything pops back up. But before I do anything, I first want to unplug the fuse to the fuel pump and let this kind of cycle some oil through the engine, through that top end a little bit. So I'm gonna do that first, then close everything up and head out for a test drive. Let's get at it. All right guys, good news, bad news. The P0420, the catalytic converter code, did clear just like I expected, but now I got a new code, P0011 and P0014 are both on there. Basically, P0011 is the exact same thing, just for the intake side. Now, a while back, and I don't know if I told you guys, but I ended up switching the cam angle sensors because they had the same exact part number, but when you took them out, they're definitely different devices. So I don't know if one upgraded and the other didn't, but I decided to switch them to see if maybe that would change things and kind of test to see if they were bad. But right now, what I'm thinking is maybe there was a difference. Maybe they upgraded the intake side and they were going to move on to the exhaust side at a different time. I don't know. I'm going to switch these right now, take it out for a run, and then I'm going to let you know. See you in a bit. It is a few days later. I really don't remember what I recorded last. I think it was a test drive, and I think maybe I told you a little bit afterwards that the code was still showing up, and now I have P011, P0011. I didn't tape the past couple days because I've kind of just been trying to problem solve since. Here's what happened. I believe when I lifted the cam on the exhaust side that my timing chain tensioner went in 1 or 2 clicks and tightened up the entire chain, over tightened the chain basically. When it over tightened the chain, it either retarded, which I think it actually did. I think it ended up retarded the timing on the exhaust side. So it still was showing me the P0014 code. Since then, I was going to take the whole engine back apart, get down to the timing chain, but I got extremely lucky. There's one bolt on the side of the entire timing chain cover. And I always wondered, what the heck is that stupid little bolt for? And finally, I found out that if you remove that one bolt right near where the crank pulley is, there's a little hole to put in the screwdriver and release the timing chain tensioner. It was nuts. It was a long shot. I was kind of sitting there for about half an hour looking at the cover and then looking what the timing chain tensioner is. And I was like doing the math, like, I think that's what it's for. So I got down there, 12mm bolt, pulled it out, reset the timing chain tensioner, took off some compression. It turns out it was about a click, maybe 2 actually out. And now I took it for a test drive this morning. P0014 is gone. I'm still getting P0011, which is back on the intake side. Because I'm still getting P0011, I never replaced that solenoid. I tested it, seems good. The screens on it did look to be pulled through as if it had been working really hard to get oil through it and it actually broke the screen. I ended up twisting those screens around to kind of recover the holes and try to protect it. I'm thinking it just might be time to replace it. I'm gonna go down to the junkyard, try to find one. If I find one, it's gonna be like 15 bucks. I'd rather do that, test my theory, then order new parts, wait, and that not be the problem. So that's what I'm gonna try to do. But while I'm down there, I'm gonna try to grab a bunch of other little parts, something for the Audi, and maybe a surprise part or two. It depends if it's there. The car came in like 5 months ago. If the part's there, I'll be extremely surprised. If I am surprised, it'll be an awesome turnout, and I think none of you guys are gonna know what it is, and I think it's gonna be very cool. So hopefully it's actually there and I didn't just get our hopes up. Anyway, I'm gonna head down to the junkyard. I'm not gonna tape it because I feel like you've seen enough driving this time. But anyway, I'm gonna head there, see everything that I can get. See you there.
It's calling me, like the rainbow. It's calling me, like the rainbow, the rainbow.
All right guys, back from the junkyard. That was probably a quick little clip, probably wasn't much to see. Basically, my hope was that there was a supercharger for an old Thunderbird that would have fit my V6 in the Mustang. Car came in like 5 months ago. I knew it was a very long shot that that thing was still there, and it wasn't, so I didn't even show you guys. You did see me grab the taillight for a Mustang, and that's because I haven't told you guys yet, but on Monday, someone hit me pretty good. I think they were going probably about 30 or 40 when I was stopped at a light, just slammed into me. Didn't think the damage was that bad. There was definitely a ripple up here into the quarter panel, so I knew the energy shifted, but I didn't realize how bad it really was. This whole interior section is supposed to be pretty square, like at a 90-degree with the rest of the back. In fact, you can kind of see a crunch point there. I just noticed that. And you can see the gap here, that there's none over here. So pushed in this whole side, good 1.5 to 2 inches. Didn't realize it was that bad until literally today when I was grabbing the taillight. I was gonna put it on so I could drive home and be able to put my right directional on. Then I realized how bad it actually was. And I mean, you can see all the trunk damage. Totally cracked it, destroyed it. So kind of a bummer. The whole thing is twisted. You can see the body line just shifted everything. Gonna try to do this myself. I ended up getting a decent little payout from the insurance of the people who hit me. I basically made money on this car and I got the car. So that's pretty cool. But I'm not too concerned about making it perfect. I guess that's why I'm not too upset about it. This car was gonna be a drift car. I expected to send that rear quarter panel right into a guarding wall just from learning how to drift. I knew this car was gonna get beat up. I knew it was gonna break. I know a lot of things are gonna break on it. So I'm not too nervous. Kind of sucks that it happened a few months earlier than when I was planning, but now it kind of forces me to get the Audi going and start driving the Audi. So it's like a give and a take. But basically I bought that car for like $1,300. I think I made like $1,000 and I got the car. So pretty good turnout. I'm pretty happy about it. I did end up finding another variable valve timing solenoid. It looks to be a little better than mine. It's a little dirty, but I do think the brake clean will clean it right up. But mine, where all these filters are, or all these little screens, the holes poked right through. I'm gonna show you. So I never replaced the intake one just because it checked out. The other thing I did is I stopped at the Kia dealership when I was down there and I ended up grabbing the OEM oil filter. I don't believe it's gonna do much. Maybe it will. Maybe I'll get lucky. And for 12 bucks, why not? So anyway, I'm gonna clean up the solenoid, throw it in, change the oil filter, see if it kind of clears all these codes. See you in a bit. It's the next day. I ended up taking out the car for about 35 minutes. Good news, all codes are gone except P0011. So now we just kind of moved the one code over to the next area. The good news is while I was driving, it took much longer for that code to pop, which means the solenoid was definitely part of the issue. The older one kind of had like a dull click to it, more dull, and the new one was more of like a punch it. You could hear the metal tick as it hit and closed. I do believe the new one is definitely better than the old one. But regardless, I'm still getting the code. It took about 20, 25, maybe even 30 minutes to actually get the code to pop up. Last time I could get it to pop in about 4 minutes. So that's good. My oil was cold. I drove the engine hard and it actually popped as I had to stop quick and take off. Right then is when it tripped. To me, there is some type of lag right there from a stop and a go procedure. And I could kind of hear it in the engine. The actuator sounded like it just dumped really quick as I hit the brakes and then pumped full again as I did it. So it's almost like the pressure isn't just flowing as smooth as it should be. It's close, but it's not there. I think Robert Vance, if you're watching, I think you're the one who recommended to me to use ChemTool a while back. If it was someone else, I apologize, but I'm pretty sure it was Robert. So my thought is, although it's working pretty good and flowing pretty good, there might still be some varnish in little areas that I don't know, or a little clog somewhere that just never deteriorated. And ChemTool is supposed to like eat it alive. They take like a styrofoam cup, but they show you it just dissolves in ChemTool. It's supposed to be super aggressive and highly advanced, deteriorative, something, I don't know. But it's supposed to work really good. So what I want to do right now is pour in, I think it's going to be about 8 ounces of ChemTool and see, after running it for about 15 minutes, if it actually improves, one, my compression, and two, if it starts to clear up the engine. If I start to hear any type of pinging, knock, anything, I'm going to turn off the engine, drop the oil, and clean it out. I don't want to ruin the engine. And if that screen filter exists, hopefully it's cleaning up that screen filter. Anyway, I'm going to get after it. See you guys in a bit. All right, guys, I think that might be the end of the Kia. So here's what happened. I took the car out. It ended up driving better. I finally got rid of the permanent P0011 code. Now what's happening is I'm getting back P0420, which is a bad cat, clogged cat. And I'm also getting P0011 and 14, the exhaust and intake solenoids. But they switch back and forth. I can reset the codes, they go back and forth. They're always pending, and I made sure they never set so that I didn't get myself into that predicament all over again. But with that said, I started paying attention to the catalytic converter finally. I don't know who knows a lot about this, but basically how it works is you can read what your temps are on the catalytic converter on the input and on the output. You want the catalytic converter to be slightly higher on the output than on the input. Basically, the catalytic converter is a heater. Its purpose is to basically cook or bake out the extra toxins to a degree where they completely dissolve before they come out the exhaust. So you get rid of that emissions issue. California has the highest standard of that. And when looking at the catalytic converter, it's clogged. It's hotter at the in port than the out port, and it should be reversed. I've already tried to clean the catalytic converter once, put in some CataClean, ran it hard yesterday trying to get it to act a little different. I'm not seeing much of a difference. If it is pretty dang clogged, like I'm thinking, it would cause small little misfires and changes in rich and lean fuel, which would cause the retardation and advancement of the cams to kind of just play back and forth. They never know where the hell to go based on where they're supposed to go. I think the P0011 and the P0014 now are 100% directly linked to the cat. It's pretty clogged. I can have like 400 degrees on the top and about 130 at the bottom, which means it's really clogged. If it was like 30, 50 degrees, CataClean probably would work. But when we're getting into the hundreds, probably pretty clogged. So that comes to my next conclusion. I went and searched for a catalytic converter for this. If I was to get one anywhere else for the US, it could be anywhere from $300 to $600. If I need a California, New York State, or Maine style catalytic converter, it's $2,000. That's the cheapest and only one I could find, and they're all sold out. No one has them. I might be able to go to Kia itself, and then it goes up to $2,200 or $2,400. I'm not putting a $2,000 cat into this car. I might break even at that point. Between the shipping, getting it, I might make $1,000 on this car if I do that. I'm not taking that risk, I'm just not. So I think the Kia might be done. The one last thing I'm going to try is going to be in the next episode, just because I'm running out of time. Today's editing day. I've seen a lot of people try to use all these kinds of formulas, dish detergent and acetones and stuff to try to clean the cats. Nothing really worked. One guy did what I kind of thought in the back of my head, what about acid? And I didn't want to use like pure acid, but something that has acid in it. And this guy kind of hit it right on the mark. He decided to use wheel acid, which is kind of aggressive. You leave it on for like 30 seconds and you're supposed to rinse it off. It's for cars that have like really bad road grime on chrome. So anyway, he used wheel acid, poured it down and unclogged it. The hard part is that I couldn't see what it was before he did that, how bad it was, but I do know afterwards it was extremely clean. So my thought is I'm gonna probably try that in the next episode. I'm gonna try to order some stuff. Hopefully it gets here in time. I'm thinking the Kia is probably done. I don't know if that's actually gonna work, but it's my last ditch effort before I just let this thing go as is, because there's just nowhere to go. I'm not putting $2,000 into this car. It's just gonna be done. It needs to get the heck out of my life. No more Kias or Hyundais for a while. For right now, I have been trying to get some used tires for the Explorer. The Explorer's tires are dry rotted. I'm very lucky they haven't gone. So right now I'm about to take the Explorer, which I'm gonna be careful, down to the junkyard and try to get some used tires. Today's used tire day. They have the sale. I think they're like 12 bucks a tire or something like that. So anyway, I'm gonna head down there. See you guys there. All right, guys. That was a failure. So I got down to the junkyard, paid to get in, signed my name. And for some reason, I just thought I should ask. I never get that feeling, but I decided to ask today, hey, the tire sale's still on, right? And he goes, nope, it's been canceled. They canceled the tire sale today when everyone showed up for it. So there's full junkyards, there's three of them down there. It's full, and then they cancel it today. End results, I didn't get any tires, wasted my time getting down there, risking the car, blowing tires on the way. I'm just annoyed. But something kind of good came out of it. I ordered some wheel acid for the catalytic converter. So it's coming in. I'm not sure if it'll be in time for this video, but I'm thinking right now what I'm gonna do is try to take out the catalytic converter and at least see how clogged it is. So I'm gonna get started with that. See you guys in a bit. Okay, feeling a little better now that I was able to get that thing off. I think I was able to show you guys one that you couldn't see through the combs. Usually it's hard, but you should be able to see some of the light come through the honeycomb. So the fact that we didn't see any light coming through that hole kind of shows that it is clogged. Now going through the top, I did show you that it looks like the CataClean started to work in the center a bit, but not enough. I would say probably started to work about 30-40%, if that. Maybe I could do this again and get it to like 50-60, but I don't think it's gonna be clean enough to stop any of the other issues that's going on, or at least not that I feel comfortable with. So I have the acid coming. I'm probably gonna mess with that next week, just because it's not gonna come in until later tonight. The other thing, I ended up picking up this bad boy so that I can fix the Mustang's rear end that got hit and hopefully bring it out the extra 1.5 inches that I need to start using my taillights again. So I just picked this up last night used from some guy for like 50 bucks. Pretty excited. It's like 200 bucks brand new. So I'm very stoked I was able to pick that up. So yeah, I think next week I am going to finish up this catalytic converter. If I can get it fixed and it's running, great. But I think if I can't, I'm not spending $2,000 on this thing. And at that point, the Kia is done. Regardless, I think next week the Kia is done. Yeah, that's it. Either the catalytic converter works and I go take it and get it past smog and everything, or it doesn't and the Kia is sold as is. I'll also be starting the Audi next week and maybe working on the Mustang. Maybe we won't get it all. We'll see what happens. Anyway, regardless, next week, the Kia is done. So I think that is gonna wrap up this episode, guys. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week and I'll see you next time. Later, guys.